So we're going to go back in time just a little bit. I'm going to show you some footage that I've been accumulating for a little over a month now, and how I got from what we started with in my first video, which was building the pad and the concrete pier with the steel reinforcement. Video 2, where we kind of finished that out and then started assembling and mounting the pier onto the concrete. And in this video, I'm going over how we set the pier up, having a look at the mechanical stuff, looking at the leveling and the mounting, and getting to this point right here. So stick around, I'll show you how it all came together. My name is Doug, and this is Astro AF. All right, so we've had nothing but, as you can see, snowy weather and cloudy and everything for almost a week now. Last couple of days have been pretty sunny. I was just finishing up everything and to finish putting the pier together here. So wanted to kind of go through that, and I'm gonna assemble the remaining components onto the pier, and then I'll give you a walk around and show you everything to date, and then I am going to prepare the scope and start working and thinking about cabling and stuff like that, which will be in this next section coming up. But for right now, it's about -2, -3 right now, so it's okay. But I'm gonna probably just kind of do this segment and go warm up. So anyway, we'll take off the cover here, and I haven't given this a whole lot of screen time, but this is a Telegizmos 365, and it's a custom cover that I had them make for me because I wanted to be able to both set the scope in a standard north celestial pole position, but I also like to, when we have storms and things like that, high winds, I want to be able to park horizontally low, and this allows me to do that. It's got a triangle shape, so when it sits low at an angle, I've got the scope and then the counterweight bar that comes out here into a triangle, and then this fits over that straight down over the entire scope, and in this case the pier. So anyway, let's put the top of this pier together. On this cap right here, this is going to be for sand fill, which I'm actually not going to do this until spring, because I've got a couple things that I want to do on the network and electrical that I may change coming into spring. But for right now, I'm just going to leave it. But yeah, I printed this cap, and it just is to keep weather out from inside. And this here is the top of the pier assembly. So first I should point out, this is rotatable, and I've got 4 set screws here that'll lock this into position, and that's basically going to be squared up, and I'm going to square this up with it, and then this adapter can rotate 360 here. So that's where I'm going to align to the north celestial pole, and then I've got 3 set screws here that'll lock that into position. And this is just a get it out of here. Oh, I can't get it out of here because I've got the center bolt in, and this is a captured bolt, and I tried to make it work the same way as the factory, which is the same as the Skywatcher. So anyway, that way I can just move my mount from either the pier or back to the tripod if I'm traveling or whatever, and I have the same setup. So these standoffs here are going to be how I level this top and also hold everything securely. It's really cold out, so having no gloves on is kind of tough, but this is impossible to do with gloves. So then this will slide into there. But what I want to do actually is go ahead and get a washer on this side. Well, maybe I can hold these two. Get those in. Try to get it close here before I put the bottom nuts on, which looks like I need to grab some washers. I will get this close to level. We'll lock this top in first. All right. And I'm just going to eyeball that this is kind of lined up, which it is. And I'm sure this is going to be a little bit of a fiddly process here. But I'll have to go back and forth. Okay, that actually worked out really good. And see if we're good on an angle. Oh, that's like perfect. So that was super easy. That was a lot better than what I expected it to be. So let me grab some washers for the bottom here. Also, I guess I make sure I've got enough threads coming through, which I believe I do. All right, you got what I need now. So just 4 washers. Yeah, let's see, we'll tweak this just a little bit. Make sure we're good. All right, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and lock this in so it doesn't rotate anymore. So I'll tighten up these 4 set screws here. So we'll just get this lined up. And tighten these set screws. All right, now that is fixed now. Not going to go anywhere. I still have these 3 up here to do, but I'm going to wait as I figure out north. I want to position that, and then I'll tighten these down to lock this into place. But I will check this again, see if anything moved. Just a slightly high over on this side. Okay, that's all secured now. So let me give you a quick walk around and I'll show you kind of the infrastructure of this and get a little bit closer and show you how this is put together. All right, so I'm really pleased to have this part done, and we're getting there. So I'm thinking tomorrow I'll probably have the scope on and I'm going to be working on wiring and stuff. But yeah, let's have a quick look here at a little bit more close up, and I'll show you how this all came together. So kind of starting at the bottom. So these lags are lagged into this this pier, which is 16 by 40 inches deep. And as we come up, this top tube goes inside the pier, and then it's affixed. I need to go back. I've actually got 8 set screws here. I'm going to come back and do those. And that locks in this bottom top plate here. And then I've got the standoffs here for the top, and this is all leveled now. And we're just using, you know, a basic bolt with nut and washer patterns here to set the standoffs and do the leveling. I've got this captured bolt here that is for the for the mount hold down. And I can't take this all the way out because of that, but this is a HEQ5 Pro adapter, and that's sit inside this welded recess here to hold that. And then I've got the set screws that go around this that allow me to go ahead and get this pin set up close to North Celestial. So that gives me, you know, freedom to really dial this in however I want. And once I get that, then I'll tighten these set screws around here to lock that in. And then everything else above that is astrophotography as usual, and we'll just, the mount will go right in here. It'll bolt down with that center bolt. My azimuth adjustment will be off of this pin. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So looking over here at the Ethernet power, so I've got power coming in here to this exterior box, and then liquid tight running off that connection. This has the Ethernet running up in it. It runs up into the bottom of this box. Over here on the side, I printed a 3D on the 3D printer this adapter, so that one I could bolt to the side of the box, and also I wanted to give it this 1/2-inch gap here for airflow because this is a fanless power supply, and so it sheds off heat through the body. So this could get warm. But it hasn't at all yet. But that power supply plugs in down here at the bottom, and then the DC output is 12 volts, comes out this way. This is 12 volt and 12 amps, I think, up to 12 amps, which is more than enough for my rig. And I've always ran like 10 amp previously. So in here, the Ethernet comes up. I've got this, it's a managed switch, so I can manage this from my phone or computer. And that ties into the LAN here. And then up here, the power comes in. From here, this is DC, and it goes into this DC rail. And then I can do all of my DC. I'm going to be drilling one more hole over here. I think either here or on top, I'm not sure. And then I'll put the weatherproof gland on there, and we will run power and Ethernet up to the scope, and from this point. And those will be the only two wires that actually go up. I'm going to bundle those together into a single harness going up, and then I'm hoping to do that tomorrow. And then obviously these are weatherproof. Everything's weatherproof. This is a IP67, I think it is, weatherproof power supply. So it's designed for being, you know, in wet conditions. Over here, I've got this is basically a safe dehumidifier, and it gets a little bit warm. I mean, it's just warm. It's not hot by any means, but this will just stay on underneath the cover. This will be for keeping humidity at bay and prevent condensation and things like that. I'm kind of excited for this. I'm still going to use my desiccant packs up high, but I think this will be nice. It'll give a kind of a nice little warm plume. Going to be cold again tomorrow. Hopefully it's just kind of like this though, and I can come out and work on stuff. I actually have all of my rig in cases right now on the back porch, getting down to temperature. I had them in the garage, which was about 50 degrees, all packed up, because I didn't want to bring them inside. So basically, you know, and get up to room temperature. So anyway, I'm transitioning from about 50 degrees Fahrenheit out here to, I don't know what we are today, 26 or 7 Fahrenheit, which I think is -2, -3 Celsius, I'm guessing. Yeah, anyway, so we'll proceed with that. Tomorrow from this point up, and then hopefully we'll wrap this thing up and we'll start working towards the first light. I am planning on redoing all my cabling and getting everything cleaned up and organized on top of the scope, as well as the new cables that are going to come down here and run into that DC bus rail. So, all right, so that's where it's at. I'm going to take this in some chunks and start with the mount, and we'll finish off tightening up of the pier, and then I want to try and get close to lined up on north, and we'll go ahead and get the mount on. I'll take a break, go warm up, and then we'll move on to the scope next, and just sort of build this incrementally today and see if we can get it done. I've got the wiring for the power and network needs to come up to the scope that needs to be connected in, and once we get everything set up, then I want to do that last so that I can make sure I get the lengths of the wires that I'm going to cut in correct, and make sure I've got clearances and slews and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with the set screws that I missed yesterday, which are this additional 4. There's actually 8 set screws on this lower. And then we'll double check and see if it changed level at all after I tighten these. I don't think it will, but we'll check it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and go around and double check all these. We'll see if anything changed here. It's not bad. It does look like it changed just a little bit. It probably, I think I'm going to wait. Let's see, I need to go ahead. Let's establish north, because I got to tighten these set screws up here for the mount adapter. And just in case that changes anything, we're going to do this rough with the compass on my phone. So that should be pretty close. And I'm hoping it's just close enough that we can make up whatever it's off within the azimuth, and it's not too much. If it is, I'll end up tweaking this a little bit. Screwing these in enough to touch off. Pushing down while I'm doing it. And we'll snug these up. So I need to bring these 2 corners up just a little bit. And I might actually start with this way. All right, that's really good. So here, and then this direction. Actually, that came in now. That's what needed to be done. Yeah, that's really good. So I'll just make sure we are fully tightened. Double checking everything. All right, let's put the mount on. Make sure the azimuth adjusting bolts are backed off far enough to not hit this. And hopefully it will fit. And it does. And let's see how we're doing with an estimate of north. Set my phone in here into the clamp. I feel like this could use an adjustment, as we almost sent one of the azimuth screws in the entire distance here. Let's have a look at that. I think I'll leave it bolted down. I should be able to loosen these and rotate it, but I won't have any fear of this toppling over because it's bolted to the underside of the plate. So now we can try to rotate, maybe. I got that lined up, so basically have about even spacing on my azimuth knobs here, so I've got full travel on either side. And then obviously this is just estimating with the phone compass, but it should hopefully be close enough. If when it gets dark and we do a polar alignment, then I'll probably redo this process, but we'll see how that goes. Could get lucky. We'll lock this in again. So one thing we were uncertain of when we were putting this design together is what our clearances look like on this. There is a potential of needing to do an extension here and lifting this up a little bit, and going to assess that through this process. So hopefully we don't have any blocker clearances, but we'll find out. That's part of what we're doing here. And if that's the case, we may need to take a little bit off of these and round these corners over. But if we have clearance, then it won't be an issue. Or like I said, just lift this up a little bit. Maybe add like a 3 or 4 inch extension tube or something. All right, that looks good. I'm gonna go grab some counterweights. We'll see if we got clearance. Oh, these are cold. I left all my gear sitting out all night so that it would acclimate. So gosh, right off the bat, that looks pretty good. Yeah, that won't be a problem at all. So we'll see how these do with the scope, which is is up quite a bit higher, but I've got the filter wheel that comes down, and I'm curious about that, but that can be repositioned easily, so we will see. Yeah, I think that looks good. All right, gonna take a little break and get warmed up and come back out, and then we'll work on the scope. I am actually set up for, or need to set up for, my Hyper AF because I'm finishing up a target that is about a month ago or more since I've done any astrophotography, to be honest with you. Between weather and working on this and the Harmonic AF project, the astrophotography has kind of fell by the wayside, and looking forward to changing that and having a really productive rest of this year and 2026 really focus on astrophotography. But yeah, so anyway, we'll go ahead and get the scope on here and set up, and then I'll just be down to wiring at that point. No concern for balance yet until I get the wires and everything on. Just try and get it close. I'm actually going to remove this, so I'm going to redo all of this top end wiring and get everything cleaned up. So yeah, right off the bat, this is sitting higher than it used to, which is actually good. And yeah, because it used to be about right here. I could look down into it pretty easy. I'm going to take the secondary out so I can put Hyper AF in. And again, I've had the scope and camera and everything outside on the back porch for 24 hours now, so it's acclimated to the outdoor temperature. It's really important to do that going both directions. If you're taking gear inside from the cold, then you want to make sure and wrap it up in a towel and plastic before that goes back inside, and then let it sit for 24 hours before you open that up. And that will help prevent condensation from building up on your gear, on your optics. And put these set screws in. These are just nylon screws that I use to lock in the back focus collimation for this setup. So when I do this when it's dark, I'll adjust the back focus for prime focus and tighten it down with these nylon set screws. It takes about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. It's not bad. Every time I take this apart and have to set it back up again. And I'll have to rotate to get on my target framing again. That won't be too bad. You know, as long as it's not too freaking cold. Spend as little time out here as possible. So in the wintertime, it's freezing temperatures, and in summertime, it's mosquitoes. In either case, trying to spend as little time out here setting up as possible, which will be nice for this, and hopefully this is going to help maintain alignment, so polar alignments won't be mandatory every night. It should hold it better than the tripod and the ground moving and things like that. So get this covered up for now, and then we will start looking at wiring up the top end of this. I'm going to try and, I mean, I may have to reuse some old cables, but I have a lot of new cables in my stock, and I'm going to try and replace all these cables and just start fresh with new ones. All right, how's that look? All right, next up is going to be top end wiring. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to go gather cables and then take a break, go warm up a little bit, and then we'll look at that. All right, so it's done. I still have testing to do and to make sure that everything's going to work out okay. But yeah, all of the cabling is done. I'm going to just do a quick run through. It's super cold out, and that's been kind of inhibited me from getting stuff done because I'm just only spending, you know, maybe like 30 minutes out here at a time, and hands go numb and stuff. So it's really been cold. And all the stuff I can't wear gloves on. So yeah, anyway, no complaining. It went really well. So yeah, let me show you around real quick. So my main thing was working on having clean wiring, and I built these harnesses. I got them put together. I really like this split. It's a split sheathing material, and it works really good. It helps protect the wires, cables from chafing against stuff. And I got a larger one here. My power and Ethernet are coming up together from down below. We'll get down there in just a second. But yeah, so ran all this. So I've got an individual harness for the focuser, and I've got another harness here coming up that goes up to the front end, and this one is for the Hyper AF that's inside the dew shield there, and then another one that is for the dew heater, and runs up and ties into there. and also the dew heater temperature sensor runs through that harness. And yeah, this one here that runs down is the mount EQ mod cable and power that run up. Yeah, and then the power cable, it comes on down, runs into our external enclosure here. It's a weather tight enclosure. And then here we've got that USB, or rather, in here we've got the DC rail that takes power off of this DC power supply over here and then sends it out. I have a lot of room for expansion, but I'm only sending out power right now to the network switch, and then the main power up to the Wanderer box out of here, and then the network is tied in to the network switch there, and it runs down into the conduit and back to the house. And then the power, obviously, it runs up and terminates up at the top of the scope. Let me button this up real quick. And we'll step back and let's do a test. I'll do a low park test.
Slewing to park.
And main thing is no binding on any cables. Everything looks good sitting on the pier.
Parked.
And I've already done some slew tests, and I don't have any cable binding or anything, so that all looks good. I think we're ready to do a final balance and alignment. It may be okay tonight. It looked like we've got some clouds off in the distance, but it looked like we might have a little bit of clear until maybe an hour or two after dark. And so I might have a chance to just go through and
tracking off.
Let's see. We'll go ahead and park this. But I might have a chance to go ahead and get fully balanced, and then it would be really nice to be able to do a 3-point polar align and get this dialed in. So we'll see if that actually happens. All right, so that wraps up my pier build, and it is in nightly use, weather permitting, and I'm really happy with everything. There's a couple things that this has kind of revealed for me. Pier itself has definitely been an improvement in stabilization over having my tripod. I used to have my tripod right in this area here with concrete blocks, and then I had guy wires going down to long, like 10-inch stakes in the ground a couple of years ago. The pups were running through and caught one of the cables coming out to the rig and actually pulled it over. And after that point, and I got things fixed and put back together, I started using those guy wires and stakes, and that also made me feel better for when we had severe storms and things like that. The tripod was always kind of a variable in how comfortable I felt about the scope being out. And now with this, basically permanent, semi-permanent pier, I don't really worry about that at all. This isn't going anywhere if we have severe storms. Like I said before, I will orient this down in a horizontal park to get it down out of the wind, and that helps a great deal. And I don't have any worries about the rig toppling over like I used to. So what this has done is exposed some inconsistencies in the mount itself, and especially with the azimuth adjustment. I'll put an image up here real quick. I'm using these hex standoffs for the azimuth pin. I don't like them at all. I don't think the azimuth pins interface with the hex correctly, and I can feel like it's just weird. It's kind of soft, and then it'll move, and so it's not easily adjustable. I have problems adjusting the azimuth, and so I'm going to build a new pin and replace what's in there with something that's more stock and akin to the EQ6R pin. It's a block. It has, horizontal sides. The pins will interface with it directly and not have to worry about angles of that hex. Also working on how well the altitude bolts here actually work. It's something I talked about in a previous video where I was analyzing my polar alignment, and I discovered that these bolts here, they either need replaced or lubricated, and it wouldn't be a bad idea if I maybe just planned on replacing these bolts for both the azimuth and the altitude. But yeah, we'll see. I might do that. I don't really like these flip around, whatever they are here, for the handles. I think I'd rather have something, that had like a star type of handle on it that you could grab and turn, as opposed to these. But I always fear that this is going to be a cable snag with this type. So, but we'll see. So, but overall, stability is so much better night to night coming out. Polar alignment is normally it's a quick process. It's all, 5 minutes and it's done. And I'm just trying to get to the point where it's even more stable than that, where I can run a polar alignment and it's good. And I don't have to, kind of want to have in mind how it might work if you ship this mount off to a remote observatory or something like that. You wouldn't want it going out of alignment every session. So I'm trying to get this mount into that position. So overall, really, really happy, and performance is really good. The infrastructure of it and the power and the networking working great. So yeah, I'm really happy. It's a very stable platform, and I think it's been a great improvement. And I hope that this series of videos has helped you if you are considering doing something like this. It's definitely achievable. And I say go for it if it's something that you think that you'd like to do in your own and have your semi-permanent setup. Again, I can take this off and take it and travel, and I still have my tripod and can use this, when I'm not here on site. So it's still flexible. And with that, so thank you very much. If along the way I've been popping up some product tabs and things like that. If you want to support this channel and would like some AF gear and or some other things that I have out of my store. I invite you to go check it out, see if you can find something that you like from the store. That helps the channel out greatly, and I'd love to have you become a channel member and get perks that are associated with that. Discord, there's a members area over in the Discord, and where I do like pre-release type of information and sharing and discussion and stuff like that. It's been picking up quite a bit lately with lots of users and starting to get some discussion, which is what that is all about. So I invite you to come on over, whether you're a member or not, and ask questions about videos, or tell us how it's going, or share your astrophotography images, whatever you like. And anyway, it's just trying to build a community there where people can have a nice place to talk about astrophotography. So anyway, my name is Doug. This is AstroAF. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.